Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. I'm getting in the holiday mood, hence I've got shot of the tie. If you didn't read my piece over the weekend, it was all about the Teflon Shilling and other matters. Do take a look. Home thoughts. This is the photograph I took. I was getting into work earlier and earlier, leaving at the same time as people are shed off the roads to go for Christmas holidays, and this was the sunrise out of my car park at the office, and I tweeted, "Rise and shine, good morning world," and it certainly looked a very bright sunrise. African lions will soon be deemed an endangered species. The African lion has increasingly been in danger of extinction. Over the past 2 decades, the population of the Panthera leo, as they are known, has declined by 43%, according to the International Union for Conservation of Nature. In West Africa, only 400 are left. Overall estimates suggest there are just about 20,000 lions left on the continent. The IUCN classifies the species as being vulnerable to extinction. Have a look at these 2 lions we came across in the Conservancy next to the Mara, where the Fairmont Mara is. I tweeted then, male lions with rumbling stomachs. They looked as if they had a singular purpose. This photograph was taken of a lioness in Lewa. She tried to get a better view. Look at the quality of her skin. She was very, very healthy. And this is of a dead lion at the Muthaiga Club, which I'm finally a member. I also like this photograph of flamingos. That was tweeted by Mayu. And I'm still reading Richard Ford, but I sort of got diverted to Don Delillo's very first book. It's called Americana, and I hadn't had a chance to read it before, and Chan very kindly found it for me. It is so much simpler to bury reality than it is to dispose of dreams. It occurred to me that perhaps in this city the crowd was essential to the individual. Without it, he had nothing against which to scrape his anger, no echo for grief, and not the slightest proof that there were others more lonely than he. It was just a passing thought. That night, after the movie, driving my father's car along the country roads, I began to wonder how real the landscape truly was, and how much of a dream is a dream. He is a fantastic, luminescent, illuminating writer. Elon Musk there and back again. Have a look at the picture. Former President Blaise Compaoré, who was once known as Beautiful Blaise, is now being sought over the death of Thomas Sankara. Sankara was a revolutionary figure who is still a hero to many in West Africa. Was killed on October 15, 1987. During the coup that brought his friend and former comrade in arms, Compaoré, to power. I confirm that an international arrest warrant was issued against ex-President Blaise Compaoré by the investigating judge. Thomas Sankara, let me put up a photograph of him, pretty much a totemic figure on the continent. Alexandros Sinka, in memory of Mohamed Bouazizi, who set himself on fire on the 17th of December 2010 that led to the Arab Spring or winter. Al Jazeera News, Blatter and Platini banned from football for 8 years. And I watched the press conference, which was extraordinary. Sepp Blatter started off by talking about the geopolitical situation, brought up Nelson Mandela several times, and the idea of humanity. And I tweeted it was a non sequitur central. And of course the charge is all around disloyal payment. A disloyal payment in the world of financial crime, which this is a payment made by an employee that is against the interest of the employer. As president of FIFA, Blatter is obliged to act in the best financial interest of the organization. It is the Swiss Attorney General's view that this payment was made against FIFA's best interests. Extraordinary essay in the London Review of Books by Seymour Hersh, Military to Military, Seymour Hersh on US intelligence sharing in the Syrian war. It's pretty long, and I'll read bits of it, but it's well worth reading in full because it gives you shows you what an extraordinary situation Syria is. And again, he's affording us a deep and granular insight into the workings of the White House and the national security establishment. Let me read a little bit about it. Barack Obama's repeated insistence that Bashar al-Assad must leave office and that there are moderate rebel groups in Syria capable of defeating him has in recent years provoked quiet dissent and even overt opposition among some of the most senior officers on the Pentagon's Joint Staff. The military's resistance dates back to the summer of 2013 when a highly classified assessment put together by the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, then led by General Martin Dempsey, forecast that the fall of the Assad regime would lead to chaos and potentially to Syria's takeover by jihadi extremists, much as was then happening in Libya. A former senior advisor to the Joint Chiefs told me that the document was an all-source appraisal, drawing on information from signals, satellite, and human intelligence, and took a dim view of the Obama administration's insistence on continuing to finance and arm the so-called moderate rebel groups. By then, the CIA had been conspiring for more than a year with allies in the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar to ship guns and goods to be used for the overthrow of Assad from Libya via Turkey into Syria. The new intelligence estimates singled out Turkey as a major impediment to Obama's Syria policy. The document showed, the advisor said, that what was started as a covert US program to arm and support the moderate rebels fighting Assad had been co-opted by Turkey and had morphed into an across-the-board technical, arms and logistical program for all of the opposition, including Jabhat al-Nusra and the Islamic State. The so-called moderates had evaporated, and the Free Syrian Army was a rump group stationed at an airbase in Turkey. The assessment was bleak. There was no viable moderate opposition to Assad, and the US was arming extremists. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, director of the DIA between 2012 and 2014, confirmed that his agency had sent a constant stream of classified warnings to the civilian leadership about the dire consequences of toppling Assad. The jihadists, he said, were in control of the opposition. Turkey wasn't doing enough to stop the smuggling of foreign fighters and weapons across the border. If the American public saw the intelligence we were producing daily at the most sensitive level, they would go ballistic, Flynn told me. We understood ISIS's long-term strategy and its campaign plans, and we also discussed the fact that Turkey was looking the other way when it came to the growth of the Islamic State inside Syria. The DIA's reporting, he said, got enormous pushback from the Obama administration. I felt that they did not want to hear the truth. Our policy of arming the opposition to Assad was unsuccessful and actually having a negative impact, the former JCS advisor said. The Joint Chiefs believe that Assad should not be replaced by fundamentalists. The administration's policy was contradictory. They wanted Assad to go, but the opposition was dominated by extremists. So who was going to replace him? To say Assad's got to go is fine, but if you follow that through, therefore anyone is better, it's the anyone else is better issue that the JCS had with Obama's policy. The Joint Chiefs felt that a direct challenge to Obama's policy, this is important, would have had a zero chance of success. So in the autumn of 2013, they decided to take steps against the extremists without going through political channels by providing US intelligence to the militaries of other nations on the understanding that it would be passed on to the Syrian army and used against the common enemy Jabhat al-Nusra and the Islamic State. Please go and have a look at that article. Seymour Hersh has come forward with something as extraordinary as all his other pieces. Obama now has a more compliant Pentagon, he's saying. We know what we're doing with there will be no more indirect challenges from the military leadership to his policy of disdain for Assad and support for Erdogan. Dempsey and his associates remain mystified by Obama's continued public defense of Erdogan. Given the American intelligence community's strong case against him and the evidence that Obama in private accepts that case, we know what you are doing with the radicals in Syria, the president told Erdogan's intelligence chief at a tense meeting at the White House. The Joint Chiefs and DIA were constantly telling Washington's leadership of the jihadist threat in Syria and Turkey's support for it. The message was never listened to. Why not? And as I said, it's quite an extraordinary situation, and Hersh is again affording us deep and granular insights into the workings of the White House and the national security establishment. Pepe Escobar, interesting piece, The Break for the Border, the current shadow play, which includes the deployment of US Special Forces to northern Syria, opens the possibility that Turks and Americans are about to launch a major offensive to expel Islamic State from the crucial Jarablus crossroads. Erdogan's pretext is well known: to block by any means the attempt by YPG Syrian Kurds to unite their three cantons in northern Syria. In this corridor, Erdogan wants to install a dodgy, hazy bunch of Turkmenist proxies mixed with unspecified Sunni moderate rebels while keeping all lines of communication smuggling with Turkey open. Syrian Kurds, on the other hand, want to get there first with American air support and with Russian air support. This is one of the few things Team Obama and the Kremlin do agree on in Syria, to the absolute despair of the sultans. It's who gets to the border first is what Pepe is talking about. We have no doubt or question that Israel is the one which assassinated Samir Kantar. Its planes fired precision missiles on a residential apartment he was in. Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah. Samir is one of us, a commander of our resistance, and it is our right to retaliate for his assassination in the place and the way we see appropriate, Nasrallah said. We will exercise this right, God willing. Everyone should bear this in mind. In fact, Hezbollah has been the only party that has resisted Israel all these years. And have a look at this photograph by Mojie Shaman, who said in the New Yorker, in Lebanon, Hezbollah is both everywhere and nowhere. Currency markets: Euro 109.04, dollar index 98.43, Japanese yen 121.19, Swissy 0.9929, the pound below 149 at 148.93, the Aussie on a little bit of a rebound 0.7218, India rupee 66.285, South Korean won 11.7547, the Rial back above 4.40153. They changed finance ministers. Egyptian pound 783.03, South African rand 15.0833. Let me put up a 3-month chart of the dollar index. My target is 110 in the Q4 next year. Euro dollar, I think, might have seen a double bottom at 104.97 a little while back, and then we got down as low as 105.25 just ahead of the rate decision by the ECB. And therefore, I don't think it's that sort of slam dunk sell it was. Gold has ticked even higher, 1078.55. Crude oil, let me put up a 6-month chart of WTI, $36.04. And that is Brent hit an 11-year low of $36.04. WTI got as low as $33.98 before rebounding. Interesting piece in Bloomberg, the stories behind the biggest jewelry sales of 2015. Ruby and diamond ring by Cartier sold for $30.355 million at Sotheby's. Massive ruby set between shield-shaped diamonds weighing 2.47 and 2.7 carats at a world auction record for ruby sales, and was the first coloured stone to sell for more than $1 million per carat at auction. The seller was simply listed as a lady. The Crimson Flame, 15.04 carats, sold for $18.372 million at Christie's. Auction catalogue notes that this colour is poetically referred to as pigeon blood red, which goes to show that poets can own jewellery, but not all jewellery owners can be poets. Brazil, the currency is down 33% against the dollar this year. Prices on government's 10-year bonds have dropped to 82 cents on the dollar from 99 cents in January. Let me put up a one-year chart of Brazilian real. We spoke about this. We're back above 4, which was my target. President Kagame, when the time comes to transfer responsibility from one public servant to another, Rwandans already have confidence that it will be done in an orderly and harmonious manner. There was never any doubt about the decision that was arrived at. Victoria, Seychelles President James Michel won a third time in power by the narrowest of margins of just 193 votes. The opposition said, "We do not accept the results of the elections because we thought we were participating in an election, but it turned out to be an auction." But keep an eye on that situation as well, because the ruling party is quite hard-fisted. Grace has replaced Robert Mugabe, Tsvangirai claims. It says President Robert Mugabe has been surreptitiously but willingly replaced by his wife Grace, opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai claimed Monday. Grace Mugabe had taken over in a palace coup and no one in government was doing anything about the country's crisis. No one in government is thinking of solutions to the national challenges, as everyone is preoccupied with issues of who will succeed this tired man steering the ship of state. Trevor Manuel hints at an outside hand in Nene dismissal. Says that the dismissal of Nene shook the trust of the cabinet collective at its roots. The saga of dismissing a competent minister and replacing him without warning or explanation led to a complete breakdown in trust. If the view holds, the trust is not only broken with the cabinet, of course, but is also broken with the ANC, with the broader South African electorate, and the markets and the entity you call business. The breach of trust was not the first, but perhaps the last straw that broke the camel's back in the careless handling of a pivotal portfolio. South African all-share is down 1.17% this year, and it's done a lot better than Egypt, Nigeria and Kenya. Dollar Rand, I think it's a sell whenever it has a 14 handle. Have a look at the 6-month chart. Egyptian pound, 783.03. Egyptian stock market, down 24.25% year-to-date. Nigerian all-share, down 22.88% year-to-date. Ghana Stock Exchange, down 12.7% year-to-date. Congo's premier is bullish on growth, even as commodities slump. The DRC's Prime Minister said he's confident the economy can grow 9% in 2016, even as African neighbours slash their forecasts and amid a slump in global commodity prices. And interesting, the IMF warned in August that current low levels of FX reserves leave Congo's economy vulnerable. They're thinking of selling between $500 and $1 billion of bonds on the international markets for the first time next year. Little bit of a disconnect. Companies in the Fédération des Entreprises du Congo, the country's biggest private sector body, are less bullish about growth in the government. They've seen turnover drop by about as much as 30% in November compared with the previous year, according to Michel Losembe. In the current economic climate, growing at 9% will be a challenge. Mozambique's economy drifts onto the rocks after currency slides. There will be no festive season, grumbles a greengrocer in Maputo. Passenger says Muslims protect Christians in Islamist attack on Kenyan bus. Abdi Muhammad Abdi, a Muslim who was among the passengers in Monday's incident, told Reuters that more than 10 al-Shabaab militants boarded the bus and ordered the Muslim passengers to split away from the Christians, but they refused. We even gave some non-Muslims our religious attire to wear in the bus so that they would not be identified easily. We stuck together tightly. The militants threatened to shoot us, but we still refused and protected our brothers and sisters. Finally, they gave up and left, but warned that they would be back, he said. And I think that's a powerful counter to the fascists on both sides. BBC Africa calls them Mandela heroes, and it's trending in Kenya after Muslims shield Christians in Al-Shabaab bus attack. Gives you hope for humanity. Now, Kenya's shilling is at 102.20. It really has been Teflon. Nairobi all shares down 10.608% year to date. NSE 20 popped its head back above 4,000. TPS Serena was the 13th company at the NSE to issue a profits warning. The company wishes to report that profit for the year ended 31st December 2015 will be at least 25% below the profit reported for the same period in 2014. In the accompanying commentary, they said the introduction of VAT on tourism services and park fees in September 2013 made destination Kenya uncompetitive relative to the other safari destinations. The Kenyan coast continues to experience an unprecedented business crisis. They concluded by saying the company looks at the future prospects of the tourism industry in East Africa with optimism. One of my favourite properties is the one at Lake Elementaita. Let me put up a photograph of Nishith and Hannah riding along the lake shore of that lake. Another photograph taken many years ago of the Serena, the pool and the sea, and they're characterising the coast as continuing to experience an unprecedented business crisis. And if you never saw that interview I did with Mahmoud Jan Mohammed, do take a look. Pretty much reiterating the points that he's come up with in this profits warning. The Family Bank of Kenya have suspended 9 workers in corruption probe. This is Bloomberg. The agricultural sector, which has been a bull outlier through 2015, surged again yesterday. Sasini tea and coffee rallied very sharply on heavy volume. You call it a chart breakout. It's up 75.09% year to date now. Williamson was also up 8.4% to close at 400. TPS eased just 0.97%. Most of that news was extrapolated from the first half results and I think has been baked into the price. Safaricom unchanged at 1670. Equity traded a bunch of shares, 10.573 million, and closed at 42, which was up dramatically on the day, but then later on it was offered at 39.75 and it's trading around that level right now. Home Africa sort of ticked 8.82% over the last 2 sessions. I'm looking forward to Christmas. I'm sure you are too. Try and get a podcast out tomorrow, but if not, I do wish you a fabulous Christmas break.